Facenda should be reading that little intro. I'm with Jason Wilde, our Packers Channel 3000 correspondent, or whatever your title is, contributor, our insider, and the draft anticipation builds here in Green Bay, and we're going to talk a little bit about what maybe the Green Bay Packers need. A lot of fans differ in their opinions. We talked about receiver, we've talked about D-line, and you know, when you look at last year, you think a lot about how good Josh Jacobs was. And boy, it would be nice to get him a little help so he doesn't have to take the beating that he took last year.
Well, first of all, my title is president of the Eric Franke fan club, of course.
For many years
Beyond that, look, Josh Jacobs ran for 1,329 yards last season. More than half of those were after contact. If you look at what Saquon Barkley did for the Philadelphia Eagles, he ran for over 2,000 yards. He had one fewer yard, 1,328, before contact. So he was getting all this great blocking that he never got touched until almost as many yards as Josh Jacobs had run for total. So they definitely wanted to upgrade their offensive line. That's why they signed Aaron Banks in free agency. That's why I think they will still pick an offensive lineman at some point in the first 2 days. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, but I would think we wouldn't get out of Friday without them drafting another offensive lineman.
Yeah, last year they went offensive line, but the Morgan kid out of Arizona was hurt.
Well, and look, that's one of the things that I think Brian Gutekunst was trying to illustrate is you don't necessarily need your first-round pick to play right away. Mm-hmm. They played pretty well on their offensive line, all things considered, right. But they are expecting now Jordan Morgan, last year's first-round pick, to compete for the starting left tackle job and be part of the mix this year. All
right. Now, what about the defensive line, the other side of the football? Kenny Clark still around? I mean, what's going on over there?
He is. It's incredible. Kenny Clark came in the league. He was 19, 20 years old. You know, he's still not even 30 yet, which is why he's still on the team.
I would have guessed much older.
Goody doesn't need guys that are over 30. But look, that was a group that was a disappointment last year. The Packers finished the season with 45 sacks. That was tied for 8th in the league. But they really had to conjure it up with smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Their defensive line just did not deliver. That is a clear need. They brought in a bunch of edge rushers for visits. I would anticipate that if you're thinking a position for tomorrow, that's a pretty good guess to make.
Yeah, okay. We'll keep an eye on that. Some good information there from our Packers insider. I like that term, from Channel 3000, Jason Wilde. So, yeah, the draft, the excitement continues to build. The fans have already got their draft boards at their houses. The real war room is just right over our shoulders there. And I think their work is done, right? But they'll be back there doing making their picks tomorrow night. Let's go to Sarah back in Madison.
All right, good to hear from you guys. Great job.